my channel, and today I'm going to be showing you my tips and tricks on how I make my foundation last all day long and basically look flawless. And just to let you know my skin type, I do have combination skin. I am oily in my T-zone and normal on the outside, so yeah. And again, these are the tips and tricks that I personally use or have maybe heard from another vlogger, which I will always give credit for. Hopefully it works for you guys too. Okay, so before we even get into the makeup, I always want to state is that if you ever want a flawless face, obviously our face is our only canvas, right? So you want to make sure that you take really good care of your skin because your skincare regimen is very important and it's actually going to help your makeup application also. So you always want to make sure you clean, you hydrate, moisturize, tone, all of that good stuff, because if you don't, then your skin won't look as flawless as it could be. Wake up flawless. First things first is obviously prime. There's a couple different primers I'm going to mention, and what primer does is basically just holds that base so that your foundation, just a moisturizer, BB cream, anything that you're using is going to last within a day. Obviously, when you put on your makeup, you don't want it to last like 2-3 hours. You want it to last as long as you can so that it doesn't get patchy, doesn't transfer, all of a sudden it's just disappearing and it's just like, where did my makeup go? So the first base I'm going to talk about is a primer spray. Now I know a lot of people actually don't use primer sprays, but ever since I discovered the Skindinavia ones, I'm in love. I have one for oil control and one for normal skin, so that's really great. I obviously usually go for the oil control because I just want to make sure that any sebum or anything that might seep out within the day isn't going to say hello to anybody. This one is in a silicone base. When you spray this on your face, it's going to give a sturdier base, so anything that you're going to be placing, like I said, foundation or whatever you're going to use is going to stick to it and adhere and make it last. So all you have to do is just give a good shake. Mist is very, very fine, so you don't have to worry about it being too strong, because I actually have had misters like the Kat Von D, and it's literally like you spray and you're like, woo, woo, woo. So this one's very fine. So I know people like to spray it in an X and then also a T, but honestly how I spray it is all over, let my skin soak it up, and hey, it's all personal preference, right? And I know a lot of you are probably like, what's in this primer spray? What's so great about it? And all that good stuff. There's actually vitamins in it, so it's not like you're just spraying like a random mist. And I think that's why I kind of was like, primer, water? Oh, water, what? I can get water from my faucet. So this one actually has vitamins in it as well as a great primer base, like I said. So it's gonna help just shrink down those pores over time, because obviously nothing happens overnight. I wish it did. It's going to help even the skin tone and also take away redness. And since we're on with primers, might as well just talk about the finishing spray. This is the finishing spray that I actually use this for a couple different things, not only just to finish off my makeup, but this is going to lock and load your makeup into place. It's going to just seal it basically. But I'll get to all that nitty gritty as well. And I do have a coupon code that Skindinavia gave to me, which is really exciting because it's free shipping, because everybody loves free shipping. Thumbs up for free shipping. And not only that, but you also are going to get 2 pocket size free Skindinavia sprays. Who likes free things? Thumbs up for free things. They are the manufacturer of Urban Decay makeup setting sprays. They're really bomb, but I'd rather just go through the source. Now that I already prepped my skin, so if you happen to have some pores that are always trying to say hello to your neighbors, to your cousins, to your friends, and you just don't want them saying hello, the party is closed, I like to seal those babies in just to them up, and then I like to use a smoothing primer. So this is a smoothing primer from Makeup Forever. This is the Step 1 Skin Equalizer. I love this one. It is great. The texture is awesome. What's great about the texture is that it's going to truly fill in the pores. So I only really put it on the problem areas where I do have pores. I have enlarged pores in this area, and I do have some up above in my forehead. And you always have to think less is more, because we're putting on layers of our skin. So think of our skin, let's just talk about, like, say our skin is a cake and we want our cake to be very minimal, simplistic, and still taste really good but not too many flavors in it. Let's just try to keep that example, I guess. I have no idea where I'm going with this, but I'm sure it's gonna work because I'm thinking about it. So say that this is basically the base of our cake. We want to make sure that we don't put too many layers, because if we put too many layers, it's literally going to look really cakey and our makeup's not going to look flawless. We're just going to look like products. Point of the primer is to push the product into the skin and fill the pores. And you don't want to fix something that doesn't need to be fixed, right? Now say I happen to have a homie right here. Hello, nice to meet you. This is Henry. Primer on these problem areas if you have any friends that are still trying to party. Now that we have prepped our skin, now it's time for foundation. Now the thing with foundation is it can work for one person, but then not work for you, or foundation may work for you and not for the other person. Honestly, it's really trial and error, and yeah, it kind of sucks when you feel like you have to return things or you don't get your money back and stuff like that, but that's just the name of the game. Personally, I have combination skin, so I've really been enjoying the L'Oreal. Oh, I got way too excited. Sorry, I'm a big time fan of the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte in Sun Beige, but with that, since this is a Pro Matte foundation, since I do have combination skin, that means that I am not oily everywhere. So that means that I kind of like to add in a little extra element, and I like to put in a little bit of the Pure Dream BB. This one is in medium deep from Maybelline, just because I find this really nice and moisturizing, but it doesn't really seep out my oils as much. So this combination truly works for me. Again, it's just trial and error, so whatever works for you, just use that. But if you haven't tried this combination and you have combo skin, I highly recommend it just because it keeps you matte, but it's not going to just cling onto the dry patches, because that's what the Pro Matte can tend to do on this one, is that it can kind of cling to like some dry patches if you do have some. Like sometimes I have some around my nose, sometimes around my chin. If I have a homie right here, I definitely don't want any clinging to that, period. So I just like to just do a mixture of that. Okay, so now as far as makeup application, you're going to use tools. A lot of people tend to use their fingers. I'm not a big time fan of the fingers. Some people say that certain foundations or whatever they're using work well with it, but I'm not a fan of that, and I truly don't believe that you can get a flawless face with just your fingers. Tools work really well. So now I'm a big time fan of the flat top kabuki from Sigma, or any flat top that you do have, or the Beauty Blender. What I really love about the Beauty Blender is how convenient and fast it is to use, because even if this baby is dirty, you do not want any dirty tools or things that are going to have like residual product in that brush or anything like that. It's going to be really gunky, plus it's not really like hygienic. But what I love about the Beauty Blender is that you would never know how filthy this Beauty Blender looked right before this video, because it was. All I did was rinse it through the water, clean it like how you usually did, and boom, I'm good to go, because I mean, I want this damp anyhow, so I just basically did a twofer. I cleansed it and I prepped it. With the flat top kabuki, I absolutely love using it, but sometimes when you start using it too much, you have some residual products, and that can really disrupt the makeup application as well. Just because the brushes, like the bristles, are not clean all the way, you can use something like Cinema Secrets, which is a really fast drying cleanser, but it's not really as convenient because you just want to just go ahead and do your makeup. So if anything, I feel like the Beauty Blender always gives a really clean, flawless look. Again, personal preference. You may love the flat top, which I do love, but mine's a tad bit dirty, but honestly I would still use it. But I would just say Beauty Blender is the way to go. And again, some foundations work well with brushes, some work well with sponges. What was that? So now I'm going to take the product, and what I like to do is, depending on the foundation, like this one can be a little bit fast drying. I like to work on one half of the face and then do the other, and then once I'm done, I let the foundation sit. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my foundation all over my face, but when I am done, I'm not just going to immediately set it with powder. I'm going to let the foundation set. So BRB. So I went ahead and just did my foundation. I did one layer. So now let's talk about like that cake I was talking about, right? I don't know. I'm still going with it. Just go with it with me, okay? So I just feel a little bit better. So we already have like our base, like the flour and all that good stuff. So now we just added in the milk. Let's just say that this was the milk. Again, please just go with it. If we add in too much milk, then it's gonna start getting a little bit distorted, right? Because we're adding in too much. Now, when you usually layer on your foundation and you start saying, oh, my makeup looks a little bit cakey, it's because you added on that extra layer. Foundations are good when they are buildable, but you always have to keep in mind is if you are layering, you are adding a layer onto your face, which can make it look cakey. Point is if you're ever someone that really wants something that's full coverage, you just like, woo, you just want everything covered up, just go and get a foundation that is full coverage where you only need one pump or one layer, I guess, all over the face, as opposed to using a foundation that is buildable, because then you're gonna add another layer, and who knows, someone might add 3, because third time's the charm, but not necessarily in this case. Another tip that I have is if you're someone where you get a lot of creasing underneath the eyes, avoid putting foundation underneath your under eye circles if you're someone that likes to use concealer, which I'm sure a lot of you do because you want a flawless face. You want to look awake like you got 8 hours of sleep, right? Right. That's already an extra layer underneath there, and if it is not needed, then I don't need to do it. I know some people may suffer from darker circles than others, so if you have to do your correction and anything like that, then go ahead and do that. But if you're someone that does not need the extra correction, again, don't fix something that doesn't need fixing, then don't do it. So that's why I didn't put any foundation underneath here, because I'm going to place my concealer underneath there, and it's basically still like on that same base of my skin. So it's not like putting a second layer. I'm still in like the first layer realm. And again, if you like a fuller coverage concealer, make sure you just go for the Big Bambino. I really love the Maybelline one just because it is full coverage, but if you're someone that wants a more natural look, then go for the more natural. Better Skin is pretty good. The Maybelline Fit Me. So again, it's all up to personal preference. Just try not to layer too many products, because then that's when the cakiness starts, the creasing starts, and yeah, it's not cute. And when I place my under eye concealer, if you're someone that happens to have a lot of creasing and you still want it to look really nice and flawless, and by the time you do your second eye there's already creasing, just work on one side of your eye. So first off, I'm going to work on one side of my concealer and then immediately set it with your favorite translucent powder, anything like that. I'm a big time fan of the Laura Mercier. So I'm going to do my Maybelline concealer, immediately set it with a brush, and then I'll go ahead and do my concealer again and then just set it with a brush. It just works just because there's no time and no moments where it's gonna give any time to crease. Another thing that I did learn from Desi Makeup, and I'm sure a ton of you watch her on YouTube, I have seen her take any kind of finishing spray and she'll go and spray her beauty blender, just because she says that she feels like the formula just helps set the concealer in place and really minimizes the creasing. And ever since I've been doing that, it truly helps. Putting some finishing spray is great. Again, this is the Skindinavia one. They have one for oil. Again, I'm too excited. They have one for oil control or a normal one as well. It's always beneficial to look up, or if you're someone where you can tilt your head so that you can look up and still see your mirror, that's what I usually do. I mean, I'm not a contortionist. I'm just trying to, you know, prevent creasing. And then I'm going to have my brush ready, place it in the powder, and immediately set it right after, so that this is going to give no time to crease. Now at this time, usually you'll set your face with powder. Again, some foundations may not set right away, so just make sure that it's set. With this one, it does set really fast, so I'm really lucky. Plus I was doing this video, so I did have some time to, you know, spare to let it set. If you don't let it set and you kind of put a powder underneath, it can be easily manipulated as well, and you don't really want that to happen. I love the BH Studio Pro because it is a dupe of the Studio Fix. I have a full video on it down below that I'll link, because it deals with all the different shades. 235 is perfect for NC42. The Makeup Forever Pro Finish, just because it doesn't give too much extra coverage, but if you're someone that likes extra coverage, go ahead and do you. Again, you can get a little bit powdery, but we can fix that afterwards and I'll let you know how. And I'm gonna tap any excess, but now with the powder, instead of sweeping it lightly, and I really want a more flawless application that's going to last, I'm going to push the powder into the skin as opposed to lightly sweeping. So making sure I just really set that foundation into place. And again, do not touch the under eye area, because that is already set and good to go, because you already set that with some translucent powder. So again, I like to push, I mean, not so hard. I feel like I was showing that I was pushing too hard, but you know, just lightly pushing the product into the face. And then this one is the Sigma F30 large powder brush. Now that you've already set your face, now it's time to do your blush, your contour, bronzer, highlight, any of that good stuff. I'm just going to apply blush and also I highlight today. The next is the finishing spray. Now, if you did use powder and you tend to have this kind of cakey, kind of powdery look, finishing spray is going to make that disappear, and not only make it disappear, but seal your makeup into place, so it's going to last much longer. When you use the Skindinavia, it's going to seal your makeup for up to 16 hours. If you wear your makeup that long, go ahead, girl. If you wear it 24, go ahead. Now I'm going to use the finishing spray. This one is the oil control. Again, just make sure that you shake it all up. That's just the way I like to spray. I just let it set in my face and just kind of fan myself a little and then just let it set, and I will not touch any of my makeup whatsoever. And again, this is going to be really great because it's just going to help seal the makeup. Also, with the weather change is that when you do use the makeup finishing spray, it's going to help prevent your makeup from flaking or cracking or anything like that, because that can tend to happen, especially with the weather change. Your skin is changing as well, so this is going to help prevent that as well. Okay, so those are all my tips and tricks in order to keep a flawless face. I hope some of these tips and tricks did help you. Leave any tips or tricks down below if you have any that I may have missed, or any new ones that you may know, or anything like that. I'm sure it'll help a lot of us. Don't forget to give a thumbs up if this did help you, and I love you guys so much. I'll link all my social medias down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Mwah! Whoop whoop!